Sup guys, this is what I would say is part 2 of the bike build. I almost didn't make this video because it's so like tedious and just like messing around little bits at a time when you're putting the brakes together and stuff. So I almost didn't make this video, but Jordan said just film it, I'll edit it. So yeah, here goes. Here's the brake setup. So basically I've laid everything out on the table. You got your springs and your bolts, and your brake. This is the E-clap brake. I've had it forever. I've still got my Odyssey brake lever with my dual cable dragonfly thing set up. Got a total gyro plate there. These are gear cables. This is all the stuff that came off the other bike. I just haven't, I'm not going to bother with putting new ones on. I run this old school gyro thing. I think it's from an inch headset as well. So it's like real small and narrow. It spins better than anything else on the market at the moment. Got the lugs out of the frame. Some gyro tabs. Some TLC gyro tab bolts. And obviously our little pinch bolts for the cables. And the cables that I run are actually gear cables, and this is an iPhone. I told you obviously in the other video that we were going to be putting the TLC bolts in as well, so they're all ready to go as well. So got a couple of TLC bolts there for the stem and the C-clamp. Other than that, I run these gear cables, mountain bike gear cables, on the lower half of the gyro. So yeah, let's do this. So the first thing I've been doing is just putting these adjusters in the frame, because now we've got this sweet little mod in the frame. So wind these little bad boys in. Next I'm going to put the gyro tabs in. I'm going to have to put the camera down. This is all self-filmed today, so I'm going to have to put the camera down for a bit. Then I'm going to do the gyro tabs, where I'm going to use a bit of super glue on there as well, all Loctite if you've got it, to tighten them up in there to make sure they don't come loose, because if you've got your cable in there and the bolt underneath comes loose, it's a bit of a pain. You have to take the cable back out just to tighten it back up again. So, and you don't really want that stuff wiggling around anyway. Today, once we get the gyro plate in there, I won't need to run anything on top of here anymore, so I'll be able to pull that little bearing off, which I'll put on there temporary while I've been running it brakeless. Yeah, so let's get to it. Scare. Also, some other information. Do you remember me telling you that the tubes that the brake goes through are they're brazed in? They're not actually fixed on the back, they're just welded at the front. So basically it appears that the frame, you've got lines around it. It's not a crack, it's just where it just sits there, and the paint obviously lets go around it. But I'll show you what I mean. Look, this frame is brand new, and can you see these little lines around the tube here? This is not a crack. It's because they just sat in there and then ground back. It's not a crack. That is going nowhere. I used to originally drill holes through my frame here anyway, without these little tubes in place, and I never had a crack issue around the frame here. So these little marks around this tube is just where this tube isn't fixed. It's only fixed at the front. So there's nothing to worry about this. It's not a crack. It's not a crack, okay? So I'm not really advising this for everyone. It's just something I do. I super glue the lugs on the frame. I'll put super glue on this and wind it in as quick as I can, get it in there nice and tight, because if you then set your brake up and this comes loose, that's also a real drama. So that's just something I do. You don't have to do it, but you could if you wanted to. Don't know, some little Mark Webb top tips. Yerd. So now all the tabs are in there, and it's got a bit of glue in there and everything. It's all done up nice and tight. Going to move on to the gyro tabs right here, and we're going to put them on right now. Okay, I had a little bit of a setback. I broke a bolt in the frame on the tabs, but got Blue, and Blue gave me his drill and his little drill kit, and now I'm just putting in the tab on the other side, because I managed to drill it out, and now we're right back on there. And yeah, got the tabs on. So we've got the tabs on the back, tabs on the front. Now it's time to start putting the gyro on, put the forks back in, and get the plates on as well. So we're good. So I'm at this point now where just putting the headset back on. Obviously these gyro tabs are on. Now we get my old school bad boy 1-inch gyro plate. Barely fits over there, it's such a tight fit. But that's where we like it. And then obviously this is all set up from before. So just literally got to like drop this plate straight on there. Like this. Nice. And then chuck the bars straight on top. Like that. Looks like it's leveled out nicely up here. So then we chuck the top cap in, and then this front end does feel quite high, like. And then yeah, we should be pretty much ready. Looking alright. Also, I did say that in this little video we're going to be applying our titanium rainbow TLC tie bolts. So these bolts right here are going to be going right here in the stem and in the side of the stem here. So I'll show you a little video of me fitting them in a second. So guys, in the middle of this all going on, I've changed my t-shirt because it's actually another day, but I'll pick up where I left off for you guys. I had some complications. What was it? I forgot something. Can't remember what it was now. Anyways, right. Yeah, so basically, right, we've put the lever on now. We've got the stem in place with the gyro plate underneath it. I had a little bit of a problem with the headset. Like, basically, the Total Killer Bee one is just too tall for what I ride. I like everything a little bit lower. I like you know, like the taller bars and that, but I've gone down bar size and then started running the top load stem, but then with all the spaces underneath it was just a little bit too high. So yeah, so we got another spacer there yesterday. So but yeah, let's crack on anyway. Let's get the brake on and get the lower cable on. So here I am winding the little adjusters in. I always put these in like all the way up with no little locking nut on it, and I actually just cut these off right here. So, and then if it needs adjusting, I do it down here. Told you that I cut them off. And now you see me simply applying the brake. Ooh. Ooh. So as you can see, I've just put the tension on the spring now and then tightened up the little bolt that holds this caliper on, and this one is on. Now we've got to do the other side down here. So as you can see, other brake calipers on there now, so it's all ready to go. Just got to run these cables through, and this is how I do it. I thread the cable through, and then I just keep pulling it all the way through like this, and then put that down there, and then we put our outer casing on, which is an old one from my last bike, so I'm just going to run that straight through there. Make sure you lube the cables up. So I've run the outer casing over the top of the inner cable up to there. Now this has to go into here and then through to the brake. Sweet. I suppose what we'll be going for here is something that looks along the lines of this. God, that could be a satisfying video or something. So yeah, looking like this. And this comes up to here like this. And then you get a little bit of tape and go around there with that. And then that to there. And then we get the little grub screw pinch bolt thing, one of these bad boys, to hold the cable in there. Just a second. I'll be back when I've done it. So, loads of you know me, I always run a very, very technical, complicated brake setup. So, we're coming real tight out of here with my mountain bike gear cables, and I run them down to the frame here, through this little piece here, and this here is your normal like linear cable, but it's just an end piece like this. Here's one I prepared earlier. And basically I'm pushing them into the back of the frame and running them out just so it's got something nice and smooth to run over anyway. As where my seat tube is very tall on this frame, as opposed to the other Total bikes like the Hangover and the Killer Bee, you do get a little bit of cable rub just on the frame here, so I've just put these little extra pieces in there just to make it run a little bit smoother. So you don't have to do that. That's just something that I'm doing this time around. Gonna try it out, see how it goes. I've done a similar thing before with mountain bike noodles, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we seem to have cables all locked in now. Everything's in there, so it's a matter of just setting my gyro plate straight and then clipping in these balls into the gyro like that. Like that side, and then this side as well, like that. And then basically you should have a brake that works, yeah. Sweet. So yeah, chuck a little bit of tape on there, and that'll be it. That's my brake setup. With my little TWS mod. So this is how we are looking. Need to cut the top of them forks down for sure. Cable all the way down into here. There's my new little thing that I'm testing. Down to the brake. Yeah, that's pretty much my brake setup. Sweet. Yeah. Changed to a black top. Right, so last stage of this. I rode this last night actually before putting the tie bolts on it. And yeah, the brakes all set up, and as you can see, the gyro levels out right down here on the tabs, which is exactly how it's meant to be, with no tension on the top cable. Runs all the way through to the back of the frame. These little pieces that I put in here last night are working lovely, stopping any friction on the frame there. Yeah, the brake's working nice. Not really spongy or anything. Still got the old school dual cable Dragonfly setup. Yeah, and now I'm going to apply some titanium bolts from TLC because they're pretty and pretty light too. 6mm Allen key. Start winding these puppies out. Take that one out, and we'll take the other side out as well. Let's get it done. There's the two back bolts out. TLC do these bolts for the stem, and yeah, 6 bolts in there, so 2 for the back, 4 for the front or the top, however you like it. I don't have any grease. Mark doesn't have any grease, but Mark's a sensitive boy and needs Vaseline for his lips at all times, so we're going in with the Vaseline. Grease them bolts up with your Vaseline. Look at that. Beautiful. Important top tip. When you're doing these 2 bolts up, you don't want to do one up and then do the other one up, because you're going to start pulling everything out of line and the threads aren't going to line up. So you just literally take that all the way to the edge, but with no pressure on it, and then you get the other bolt and grease it up with your Vaseline or whatever you're going to use. I'm using Vaseline. So we get this one here. Putting a little bit of Vaseline on the inside head of the bolt there as well, just so when it does up, it doesn't bind too much. What we want to do is a little bit of a turn that side, a little bit of a turn this side, tighten them up evenly. That one's starting to be tight. One thing about these tie bolts is, I mean, I don't mind because I'm going to do this up and I probably won't touch it again until I change my frame, because that's how I roll. But the titanium, if you all like, listen to this, is an important bit of information here. The titanium will try and bond, like, will try and bind with the aluminium of the stem. So tie and aluminium really doesn't like to mix. So the best thing to use is copper grease. So I mean, I really am just winging it at the moment, because I need to get this bike together and get riding again, because it's been a hot minute. Anyway, yeah, little bit by bit, tightening up each side until the stem is tight. But I would suggest copper grease on these if you want to keep taking them in and out. But like I said to you, this will probably stay here until I get a new bike now, because I just never change my bike. Hardly ever. So, right, now these side bolts are in and looking very oil slick. We're gonna do the top bolts. Now be careful with this, because if you loosen them up and your bars fall down, you could dent your frame, and that sucks. I've done it as a child and it hurt my feelings when I destroyed my Hoffman Dirty 130 back in the day, which I won it at the B group mini ramp spine contest at the Reddish Jam in about, what, 99, something like that. I find undoing bolts really tedious. They just take ages. Get my Vaseline on the go. Look at that, lovely. Oh, we want to get those in there. Get Jordan to fast forward, shall we?
Yeah, I think so.
Once again, getting the Vaseline on there, or if you're doing it properly, you'll be using, what are you going to be using? Your copper grease. Gonna make sure everything's done up nice and even Stevens. Now these are titanium bolts, they may stretch, so it's important after the first session just to give them another go over, make sure they stay tight. But yeah, so that pretty much brings us to the end of this video. I actually cut down some tie bolts, I put them in here. I have the nuts off of the TLC tie bolts on the actual brake blocks. I have a TLC titanium bolt in my cranks. I have what you just see me put this together. I have the TLC titanium rainbow bolts in the stem. I have brake lever, and even like the little nut is all titanium. I also have titanium bolts in the axles and the pegs. If anyone makes titanium axles for the pedals, hit me up. Oh, by the way, also got the seat bolt as well in titanium. So, but yeah, this is the second part of the bike build video, and I've just laced the bike with titanium and showed you how to assemble the brake. So yeah, you know what to do. Turn post notifications on, like, subscribe, leave comments, and tell us what you want to see and all that jazz. So see you soon.